Hello, Monetization Nation. I'm Nathan William, your host. Today we're going to talk to Yaagneshwaran Ganesh, popularly known as Yaag. Yaag is an award-winning marketer, author, podcaster, and TEDx speaker. He's the director of marketing at Avoma and the podcast host of the ABM Conversations Podcast. He's also a best-selling author of 8 books, including the Revenue Marketing book. In today's episode, we're going to discuss revenue marketing and how we can implement it in our businesses. We'll cover the following key takeaways. Number 1, revenue marketing focuses more on profit and the end goal than expenses and short-term goals. Number 2, to implement revenue marketing, we can use the GAME framework: gather, agree, map, and execute. Number 3, our sales and marketing teams should be aligned before we begin to execute anything. And number 4, there is a power in imperfection. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Yaag.
Hey, thank you so much, Nathan. I am super excited to be here on the show today, and thank you for having me here, and can't wait to get the conversation going.
So can you start off by sharing with us something that you are super passionate about?
Yeah, so I'm super passionate about content, especially in the world of marketing. That's something that I live in day out, because that's a great opportunity for us to story tell. And, if you look at it, anything and everything around us is inundated with content. It could be a video, it could be, something as simple as what you tell yourself is a story, and that in itself is a content. Sometimes the wonderful aspect about this is that though as a marketer, you and I might know how a brand works, how marketing works, but still, when Apple announces the new product that comes out, you still are happy to stand out in a line, at least pre-COVID, to go out and buy that, because that's the story, that's the power that we like to buy. And that's something that, I'm super excited always to try different formats and see how people react to it.
I love it. So you're passionate about storytelling in your content. All right. Can you share with us the greatest home run that you've hit in your career, the greatest success story? And I guess in India, it shouldn't be a baseball analogy. It should be a cricket analogy. So can you share with us the biggest time that you've hit it out of the park for yourself or one of your customers?
So I would say, there are not one or two specific places where I've hit it out of the park, but it's been a series of learnings all through my life. It's been a series of trying and, going through the motion and identifying what works and what doesn't work. For example, even if you look at some of my books, right? So I started my career of writing as a fiction author. My first book was called Taken Already. That was a fiction book. And then it sold kind of fairly well. I did not expect people, like about 800, 900 people, to actually buy the book. But then I realized that, hey, I'm in the world of marketing. I'm speaking, I'm doing keynotes in the world of marketing. I'm consulting people in the world of marketing. But why am I writing this book? And one day my publisher called me and he said, Yaag, if you're going to be writing a marketing book, I'll publish you for free. But on the contrary, if you're going to continue writing fiction, I'm going to charge you double the price that I'm going to charge others. and that made me think myself, like, hey, when somebody is kind of so concerned about me and wanting to give me a push this way and even ready to publish me for free, what am I doing? And I was thinking, am I in sync with myself or am I sinking? And that became the title of my first marketing book, which is called Is Your Marketing in Sync or Sinking? And from there, what happened is, one of the biggest things that happened through this book was I always believe that it's not just me sharing whatever I know, but also talking to people from different parts of the world and gleaning into their experiences and what they have tried out and learning from that. So I started reaching out to different kinds of people around the world. And it so happened that I spoke to one guy called Chris in the Netherlands. And we just started talking about something. And then we recorded a session together. It was supposed to be a 20-minute call, became a 2-hour conversation. And then 6 months fast forward, I was in his house in Netherlands. And from there, we took it to the Chamber of Commerce. And we kind of became such good friends that until COVID, we have visited each other at least once every year. So I would say earning good people and making good friends has been my biggest takeaway from all of these things. And of course, the monetary benefits and the business benefits do happen on the side. But I love to focus on relationships and what we learn every day.
Can you share with us any secrets or stories you have about credibility marketing?
One of the fundamentals that I look at when it comes to credibility, again, I'll go back to the way we tell stories. So one of the things that we figured out in Avoma, like just for people who are listening, I work for a company called Avoma, which is into conversation intelligence, where you can typically listen to the conversations of your prospects and customers and get analytics out of it. Like different people can use it differently. But broadly, what I'm coming to say through this is that one of the things that I figured out that helped me really in my storytelling that resonated with my customer is that on a daily basis, when I went out for a jog in the morning, I used to pick up my headphones and I used to listen to customer calls on a daily basis on this platform. So the kind of questions that a prospect would ask my account executive, or the kind of things that the customer success manager would discuss with your set of customers. And then you realize that, hey, instead of me trying to just broadly look at my hypotheses and then going with if this sticks or not, let me start creating things around what my customers are asking for. So even the channels that we betted on, even the places we went to, even the kind of people that we hired on the team, all of these things came out of it. For example, one of the things that we figured out was, one of our customer was asking us about this thing that we have in our product, which is called measuring the number of filler words. Like how many filler words do I use in a conversation for a salesperson, right? And the interesting question that this guy asked was, hey, I see that you have this filler words on your analytical dashboard, but how does it help? Like, in the sense, because I use filler words, does it mean that I'm going to not win a deal? So what is the significance of that?
And will you define what you mean by filler words really quick?
Yes, absolutely. So filler words typically is the set of words that you use during a conversation. Like, for example, right now I'm using a lot of like. So that is a filler word. And sometimes I use as part of the conversation a lot. That's a filler word.
I use the word and a lot as a filler word.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So when we discovered this, and he was asking, because you use filler words, are we going to lose deals? And that made me go back and think, hey, we have this feature in the product. Fantastic. But how do we establish the use for this? How do you make it a credible thing to have rather than just saying, hey, this is a feature, it's a bells and whistles? No. Then we went in, we did some analysis. We realized that just because somebody uses filler words, they are not going to lose a deal. Absolutely not. But on the contrary, if somebody uses like 70% filler words for every 100 words that they speak, they're going to end up giving a very bad experience. We saw those numbers saying that, hey, the call experience was not great there. It felt like, the person was not well prepared, or the person was not confident, he was nervous, whatever. And the third thing, the most interesting part was, if somebody had absolutely no filler words in their conversation, it felt way too plastic and rehearsed as well. Yep. So that was a bit of moderation where we discovered that there was this 1 or 2% of filler words is ideal for usage.
Interesting. That is powerful. You need a certain percent of imperfection to be authentic, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So it feels like, hey, this person is being real. I mean, at the same time, it does not mean that I'm trying to insert certain things, but I'm not trying to be overconscious to stop everything. That feels like we are having a real conversation, and that is very, very powerful. So at the end of the day, it goes back and boils down to just one thing. At the end of the day, if people are able to connect with you in real time, if you're getting just 5-10 minutes to spend with that person, and if they feel like they're talking to a real person, that makes a lot of sense. Again, if you translate that into your website copy, are you talking too much about your product, or does it feel like are you talking to their problems, right? So if you look back and map everything, it's about how you connect with people, and that's where credibility is manifested. It's not about which influencer you bring on board, how many likes or retweets you get. None of those things really matter. What matters is, do people trust you? And one of the interesting measures that you get is, like, say, for example, as simple as customer referrals, right? So in our initial days, what happened was we built our entire referral model because our customers started referring to a lot of their network, and we did not have a process or a platform to do that. We we were excited that this is happening, but over a period of time, we thought that we should be rewarding our people, our customers who are doing this, and built a model around this. So that's where credibility begins. Why people are doing this, and you're rewarding them over a period of time, rather than the other way around where you say that, hey, if you do this, I will incentivize you to do this. That's not how it should be working.
Monetization Nation, I want you to stop really quick and listen as we restate just a couple of really super valuable takeaways here. So the first one he made was about the kind of the power of imperfection. And when we're presenting and talking to people, we don't want a lot of filler words like and like those kinds of words. But we need a certain percentage of those, or else we feel robotic. We feel like it's not real and authentic. So often we feel that we have to be perfect. We have to have the perfect lighting and the perfect makeup and the perfect backdrop before we ever film anything. And that's just not true. That's not what our audiences want. When we do that, we actually take away from the authenticity and the power and the credibility of the message we're trying to share. So if we just got done with a run and we've got something we want to say and want to record it on a video, we might consider just recording it. Don't worry about getting to the perfect backdrop. Pull out your phone and record it. And there's a power that comes from the authenticity of capturing it in that moment. Any thoughts on that, Yaag?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. A lot of times it's okay to say that, I made a boo-boo. That's absolutely fine, rather than saying that I'm the most perfect person in the world. Because, even the lighting example that you gave, it's fantastic. When you look at, if you scroll on your LinkedIn feed and you see certain videos look so very professional, and it feels like, okay, it's going to be a marketing message. Whereas somebody is having a conversation, you stop and you at least try to give a listen as to what the other person is saying. So you don't want to come across as so polished that it feels like they're trying to push something on you, whereas somebody is having a conversation who feels just like you.
Let's dive into your book. Let's dive into the main topic here of revenue marketing. Will you start off by explaining to us what is revenue marketing?
So this started off to me as a excitement aspect in the world of marketing, because for a long time it felt like marketing is one of those departments that is more of expense oriented, and that is something, though it is a little probably 2012 or 2011 kind of a thought process, kind of boiled down even to the way certain things were done even in 2014, 2015. If you look at some of the marketing automation tools and all of those things came in, the measurement from there changed from event-based to looking at lead generation. And whereas when you say lead generation, it's not, generating an opportunity. It often meant like, hey, I would put out an ebook there, somebody downloads it, it becomes a contact, I send it to my salesperson, and they look at the contact. What happens is they don't find any value because they are looking for people who is interested in their product or service that they are selling. But if this person does not have that intent, then that lead gets thrown away in the garbage. That's done and dusted. And then there's the friction between the sales and marketing team. And then came the demand gen aspect, where you said it's not just about sending a contact, but making sure that these guys have a need for your product. But then it also got a little bit, withered down to the good old BANT concept, where somebody is looking like, hey, if you have a budget, if you have an immediate need, that if you have a timeline, and do you have the authority to make a decision, blah, blah, blah. And then it became more of a shortlisting. But ultimately, marketing has to be in such a way that there needs to be a method to the madness why you're doing something. The outcome need not be always exactly revenue, but it needs to be measurable. It needs to at least lead to something that will eventually lead to revenue. So that's where the logic of revenue marketing comes from. It's not just about building a predictable revenue all the time, but it's about doing a set of things that makes sense to the bottom line, or at least the top line of the organization.
And I know this next question may seem obvious, but why does a company want to focus on revenue marketing, and how is it different than other marketing strategies?
So it majorly depends on where you are as an organization. Like, say, for example, if you are in a startup, Especially like, say, for example, in Avoma, until about a couple of months back, I was a one-person marketing team. And what happens in that kind of a situation is that you're not going to be having the opportunity to do pretty much anything and everything. You have to make sure that the set of things that you are putting your time on give some results to the organization. So at that point of time, if something adds to revenue or not becomes a very important question. So what are you spending your time on? Are you going to be spending on content? Are you going to be spending on campaigns? Are you going to be spending on performance marketing? Performance marketing, I'm talking about things like Google ads, LinkedIn ads, and things like that. And or are you going to be doing events? Thankfully, because of COVID, this is one benefit that people have stopped wasting money on events. And so ultimately, it's going to be you doing a set of things that really matters to the organization. That's where the core of revenue marketing is. That's why it is very, very important. It's not like me picking up a set of things and working only on performance. No, you can still work on content. You can still work on ABM and all of that. But ultimately, if it's going to at least generate interest from the right kind of people towards your organization, does it add value to the entire process? That is where revenue marketing comes in.
Do you have a framework for revenue marketing that you teach people?
Yes. So in the book, I talk about something called the GAME model, which stands for gather, agree, map, and execute. So what it means is that generally sales and marketing teams tend to have different goals. I'm not talking about the good old times where they were absolutely at loggerheads. No, I mean, in reality, it's not that bad as we sound to make it. But the thing is, what happens is sales teams have their own set of goals, and when marketing, the way it aligns with sales, if it's not contributing to that, they are not going to see value in what marketing offers. So, for example, if you're working with them and helping them reach a set of accounts, for example, if you're reaching a set of people that you think are most valuable to our organization, first, even before you going out and creating that list, you need to sit down with your salespeople and ask them, like, what are the kind of accounts that are working out for them. And the best part about this entire journey is that a salesperson, if you just go and ask them, what are the top 5 accounts that you think are you going to be closing this month, without even looking into the CRM, they're going to just say it right off the bat because they are at it day in and day out. Now you gather your list and then sit down with your sales team and agree upon what is your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 list that you want to reach out. So does it make sense? I think that this is the ICP, but do you see, it makes sense to you based on the things that you're talking to, based on the people that you're talking to on a daily basis? Does this list make sense? So once you agree upon this, then the next stage, you start mapping out your marketing programs. So do I send out emails to these people? Do I create ads on specific platforms, or do I create content? What are the kind of things do I do to reach out to these people? And then once that is done, how does the salespeople, how do the salespeople map to this? Do they start doing their reach out campaigns in terms of calls after 2 touches or 3 touches? When do they actually get in connection with them? When does that conversation happen? And finally, the execution of this, right? So the execution is what do we actually treat as a proper contact into the system? When do we agree? And for all these things, what are the kind of tools that we need? What are the kind of process that we establish to this? For example, it could be as fundamental as agreeing as to what a sales qualified lead is. That itself is a definition that is a problem in most organizations. Somebody thinks that it is just about somebody who has signed up for your product. Somebody thinks that, hey, once the free sign up is done, unless they go to the next level and start a conversation with sales, that's not it. So everybody's going to have different definitions. You establish a baseline and then start working towards it. So this is a broad outline as to where we need to be. But at specific levels, if you go down deep, then it's going to boil down to the people, process, technology, and everything that enables this entire process.
Can you share with us any stories of other organizations that have implemented revenue marketing and maybe the results or the impact that it had for them?
So, for example, there is this organization in Estonia called OutFunnel, which follows revenue marketing quite heavily. In fact, they have a product around this. And the best part is, the entire process revolves around measuring even things at the channel level. So the clarity that it gives them is that it's not just like, if you look at how people measure your CAC, that is customer acquisition cost, in most organizations, it's just broadly, your total money spent by the number of customers acquired. That's the broad logic. But you need to know as to what channel is working out for you. Do I pour more gasoline on LinkedIn? Do I pour more gasoline on Google Ads? Or do I do more of marketing automation? What is working out for me? So being able to attribute things at each level and trying to understand that this is generating X number of visits, and then this is creating X number of demo requests or signups on my website. And from there, ultimately, this is the number of customers that I'm getting through this channel. So that level of clarity is what it helps. And the reason this is very useful is because it saves you from spending money in places that are not working, and ultimately optimizing your spend to the kind of output or outcome that you're looking for.
What's the biggest mistake that you've seen somebody make when implementing revenue marketing?
Mistake is number one. I mean, not quite a lot. If you understand and look at things, there are not much mistakes happening there. But the fundamental is that the alignment of different teams towards implementing this. You need to be first. The belief systems of certain organizations are different in different areas. For example, you cannot measure everything. For example, if you're saying that I will implement revenue marketing, but I will make no investment on brand because that is not, I'm not able to measure the outcome. That is a fundamental mistake you shouldn't be doing, because the more your brand grows, your CAC is going to come down over a period of time. Just to give a simple example, when I first joined Avoma in April, the number of people searching for the keyword Avoma was under 10, and now it's somewhere close to 1,000. So what happens is now I see people bidding on Avoma as a keyword from the competition as well. As an impact, what happens is over a period of time, when your brand gets known, there are certain keywords or there are certain things about your product or platform that also gets popularized, parallelly. And your cost per acquisition, in the sense like you're not going to spend heavily only on certain channels. There is going to be an increase in direct traffic. There is going to be an increase in people coming in inbound purely because they've heard of you or you've been out somewhere. I mean, they know who you are. So that thing comes on over a period of time. So calling something purely measurable based on what you see as revenue marketing is a fundamental mistake. That's something that I see quite often.
When we decide we want to implement revenue marketing, what resources, software, technology, what tools do we need to effectively implement a good revenue marketing strategy?
You can start with as simple as literally just a Google Sheet. That should simply do at the beginning. But the levels of sophistication increase based on the different kinds of programs that you want to do. Like as a one-person team, if you're not looking at a lot of things, if you think that I'm going to look at just one channel and I'm going to invest on AdWords, for example, Google Ads, for example, you don't need anything. You just need to have a good Excel sheet where you're forecasting properly and able to optimize over a period of time. But over a period of time, when you're looking at different things, then you can start looking at bringing in a proper marketing automation platform, like say a HubSpot or a Marketo, or then you can look at bringing in CRM / email marketing tools like ActiveCampaign and all of that. And you can also start bringing in conversation intelligence tools where you're trying to listen to what a customer or a prospect are saying and how do I map this to the entire process. So there are going to be things coming in at different stages. But I would say for starters, it's not very tool heavy. It's more, people and process heavy, and then tools come in to fill in the gaps.
Thank you so much, Yaag, for sharing your stories and insights with us today. To learn more about or connect with Yaag, you can visit his website at avoma.com. You can get his books at Yaagneshwaran /book. And you can check out the ABM Conversations Podcast. And there's links to each of those sites on the blog post for this episode at monetizationnation.com. You can also get a free copy of my ebook about passion marketing and learn how you can become a top priority of your ideal customers at passionmarketing.com. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and I wish you success in your revenue marketing. Do you want to become a better digital monetizer? To receive great monetization stories and secrets, please go to monetizationnation.com and join free. And if you liked today's episode, please subscribe to the show and share it.